Sony is making moves to put PlayStation first-party titles on more platforms. What does this mean for the PlayStation brand? Let's talk about it. Hello there everybody and welcome to The Comfy Spot. My name is Tyler and today we are going to be talking about this latest bit of news that has been really sending the PlayStation community into a tizzy, the wider gaming community as well, but specifically the PlayStation community into a bit of a tizzy. That news being this job listing about PlayStation putting their games on multiple platforms, their first-party titles specifically, and by multiple platforms, I don't just mean PC, I mean Xbox and Nintendo as well. This came from a job listing that they posted over on Greenhouse. I'm going to read directly from this job listing here. The job listing is for a senior director position of multi-platform and account management. What is this job overview? Well, here's what they say. The job overview says that the person will, quote, play a critical leadership role in shaping and executing the global commercial strategy for PlayStation Studios software titles across all digital platforms beyond PlayStation hardware, including Steam, Epic Games Store, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. This role is accountable for optimizing title profitability, ensuring cross-functional alignment, and leading a high-performing team focused on multi-platform expansion, mid-range commercial planning, and platform partner management, end quote. There are a couple different key responsibilities here as well, but the only one that I'm really going to key out right here and parse out is their key responsibility for multi-platform strategy leadership, where they say and reiterate again that this title will the person in this position will be overseeing the out-of-year, mid-range commercial strategy for PlayStation Studios titles across all non-PlayStation platforms, driving long-term revenue growth and audience reach. Now, I've seen ever since this listing started making waves across the social media, be that Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever the case may be, I've seen a range of different opinions, many of them really being of like concern and worry and just frustration, I guess. People saying, oh man, is Nintendo really gonna be the only platform with exclusives anymore? I've seen people saying stuff like, why is PlayStation doing this? This is gonna like deteriorate the brand or dilute the brand. Why would they do this? They're going in the same direction as Xbox, yada, yada, yada. And like, honestly, this is not something that people really need to be stressing about and worrying about, in my opinion, because one, this has been a long time coming, and two, like, this is nothing but good for PlayStation in the same way that Microsoft putting more of its games on other platforms is good for the business of Xbox. Even though with Xbox, it gets a bit dicier just because Xbox itself has had a bit of an identity crisis. They've been shifting direction so many times in so many different ways and all, but ultimately, putting your game on more places and more platforms is never a bad thing in the long run. Because, you know, if you've been paying attention, PlayStation has been doing multi-platform stuff for a bit now. You know, they've been putting their games on PC for a bit now. Of course, after they've already been released on their console for a couple years or a couple months in more recent times. Then we also had MLB The Show get put over on Xbox. Of course, the MLB themselves kind of strong-armed Sony into doing that, but MLB The Show is on PlayStation and has been on Nintendo as well. Destiny 2 still kicking over on Xbox as well, and Marathon is a multi-platform game, so there's that one too. And then most notably, last year, for me at least, LEGO Horizon Adventures, when that got announced, it was announced for the Nintendo Switch, which was a huge deal, because although LEGO Horizon is a spin-off, it's not a mainline Horizon game, it is still the Horizon IP, and putting the Horizon IP on Nintendo's console was a huge deal to me, in my opinion, and it said so much about the direction that Sony was going to be going in. And then of course just a few weeks ago actually, Helldivers 2 was announced to be coming to Xbox later this summer in August. So the seedlings and the direction has been there and very evident for a while. And Herman Hulst himself did say too in the past that Sony would be doing, going in a multi-platform direction. So when it came more so towards PC and maybe some other consoles as well. Like he was saying that, you know, our first party titles, our single player titles would still be releasing on console first, and they'd be on console for a period of time before we put them over on PC. And live service games, they will launch day and date on as many platforms as possible. At the time, that very clearly meant PC and PlayStation, but we will see now going forward about whether or not Xbox is involved in that. They likely will be. So again, I say all this to say that Sony going in this multi-platform direction with their first party titles is not that surprising to me. And I want to dial things back a bit to the conversation I had last year about PlayStation's future direction in regarding first party exclusives, and really the future of first party exclusives for PlayStation and Xbox as a whole when it came to them being exclusive to console. At the time, as I said, after LEGO Horizon came out, that was like the firing shot for me in terms of like, okay, it's not just a thing of Xbox going in this direction of putting their games on other competitors' platforms. Sony is going to be doing this too, and at the end of the day, they might not be saying it, but it's ultimately going to be because, you know, it's not financially feasible anymore in the games industry to only be putting your game on one platform. It's just not, especially the types of games that Sony's single player tentpole titles are, these big, very expensive games. Like, it's just not financially feasible for them to be exclusive to only the PlayStation ecosystem, to only the PlayStation console. They have to be on as many places as possible in order for these teams to really see the types of profits that will allow them to continue to making games that we love from them. You know, there have been so many teams that have either closed or had layoffs in recent years, not just at PlayStation, but just in general, because things are getting tougher, things are getting harder, games are very expensive to make. Of course, there's also the bit of corporate greed involved, which plays a role in these layoffs and closures happening, but the underlying factor is games are expensive to make. Because they're expensive to make, you know, the profits got to be there in order for a team to continue living on and thriving and making the games that we love. Sony obviously they're no stranger to this. They're not just ignoring the signs. They see the signs. They were going to have to go in this direction at some point in time, full force. I myself predicted that they'd be taking steps towards it, and we'd see them go all in on it halfway into the next generation with the PlayStation 6. And it seems like, like this new job listing right here, it says to me that maybe they are speeding that timeline up, especially, you know, with recent moves they made, again, i.e. the Helldivers thing. But what it says to me is that they are definitely going in that direction. Sony is definitely going to be going in the direction of putting their first party single player games on other consoles, such as Xbox, such as Nintendo. It might not be a day-and-date thing. I don't think it'll be a day-and-date thing. I think it's going to be, as I said back in that video last year, I'm going to link it down in the description below so you can go check it out, where it's a bit more of a focused conversation than this one where I'm kind of a bit all over the place. But as I said back then, we're going to be in this era of timed ecosystem exclusivity. You know, Xbox, they've kind of shifted things where the console's not really their sole focus anymore. Their sole focus is kind of being everywhere. PlayStation, their console is still the center of their entire ecosystem, and these other places, PC, mobile, Xbox, Nintendo, they're kind of being seen as more so, I guess, as branches off from the console. That's why, you know, they're still putting their games, not doing day and date on PC with their single player titles. They're still putting them out on PC or other platforms months or maybe a couple years after they come to console first, because they want you to play it on their console first, and if you're somewhere else, we'll put it out there afterwards, get some more money, get some increased revenue, and expand our brand and presence in these other places. So I see a timed ecosystem exclusivity thing being the future for PlayStation and Xbox, and this just says the same. This just says to me that they are 100% going in the direction, and this position here is just laying the groundwork for it. This person is going to be the one kind of heading that up and kind of overseeing all the chess pieces and seeing, okay, this game, say for example, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet from Naughty Dog, upcoming first party single player title from them. Let's say that comes out in 2026 on PlayStation 5, right? Or 2027 for PlayStation 5, whatever year it comes out. Let's say it comes out and they're like, all right, of course it'll be day and date on PlayStation, in, let's say, October of 2027. And we want to also give it some time to be exclusive to us, but we also want to put this game on PC, and we want to put this game on Xbox, and hell, we'll say Switch 2 as well, even in this hyperbolic this example here. Let's see where the market is. Let's see what things look like. Let's plan this out. How do we want to really strategize this so that we get as much legs as possible out of this game and get as much revenue from it in the long term? So we'll release it on our PlayStation console first. We'll make, let's say, it'll sell 10, 15 million copies in the first 3 months. Just example here. And then after that, all right, well, it'll have its legs, it'll have its tailwind and stuff. And then about a year later, we'll announce the PC version. It'll come to PC, let's say 14, 15 months after released on PlayStation. And it'll also release on Xbox at that same time. It'll release on Xbox and PC at the same time, giving PlayStation owners that still a bit of exclusivity as well, but then it just allows them to re-up the excitement, re-up the hype around whatever the game is, give it a new lease on life, give it some more legs, allow it to make some more money, and again, expose it to more people, expose the team to more people, expose the PlayStation brand to more people. That is how I see things going forward with PlayStation. Xbox is already doing this, as we've seen over the past year and change. They've already been doing this. PlayStation is going to be doing this as well, and I can't understand why some people are like, oh, but what about my exclusives? Like, what about this? That's not fair. I bought my PlayStation for my exclusives, for my exclusive games. I might as well just buy a PC. And I mean, I feel like, yeah, sure, if you want to have that argument, you can make that argument. But I feel like that looks at exclusives in a very archaic way nowadays. Nowadays, at least when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox, I'm purposely leaving Nintendo out of this conversation because Nintendo is their own beast. They kind of do their own thing, move to the beat of their own drum, and they find success at doing that. I mean, Mario Kart World cost $80. Meanwhile, that game was I believe the third best-selling game of June in the US, purely off of physical sales. That didn't include the bundle or digital sales, which says a lot. They said, hey, we can charge $80 a Mario Kart, y'all will buy it, and it'll work for us. But again, going back to PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like looking at exclusives as this whole this flag you could wave is oh yeah, this is only on my platform and you can't play it on your console, you can't play it on that platform. I feel like it's such an archaic way to look at things because the industry has evolved from it, especially, again, as I keep saying, in recent years, with just how expensive games are and the needs of game developers and the industry and different teams and all, and publishers. Games can no longer be on just one platform. And a game being a first-party game, it's still exclusively made by your studio. It's still exclusively made for your team, for your platform initially, and you still have that feeling of exclusivity. It going on another platform months or years after doesn't reduce that exclusivity, that feeling of, yeah, I got this from my console when it first came out. It was only on here for me on day one. It doesn't reduce that just because it is now on another platform a year plus later. So I just feel like it's a relic of the console wars era from the early 2000s, basically from anything pre-PlayStation 5 era. It's a mentality that is just still hanging around, still lingering from that. And I get, some people might not want change. They might find change hard. They might not understand why some people like myself are kind of just this isn't a bad thing. This is kind of whatever. I'm all about more people being able to play the games that I love from the teams that I love. So, it is what it is. I'm totally fine with PlayStation doing this multi-platform thing that they want to do. I'm not thinking that, again, Intergalactic or Wolverine is going to be releasing on Xbox or the Switch 2 or PC the same day it releases on PlayStation. PlayStation is going to still put these games on the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 6 on day one, exclusively on those consoles. They will just come to other platforms a bit down the line where they can, again, re-up that excitement, get some more money for them, and expose the brand and those teams to other people. And at the end of the day, that's not a bad thing. You know, now that both PlayStation and Xbox are going to be doing this, we're going to be in this world where, hey, you know, you can really just buy whatever box it is that you want, whatever box that you are already entrenched in and have like your, you know, your back catalog of digital purchases in. You can buy whatever box you want and really be able to play really the vast majority or all games on them whenever it releases on that box. It's really just going to be a thing of which ecosystem do you like more, which do you feel more comfortable in, and which ecosystem do you want to have access to those games on day one from them. Do you want access to Xbox's games on day one with the added benefit of Game Pass as well? Buy yourself an Xbox then. Do you want access to PlayStation's first-party games when they first release on day one? Then buy yourself a PlayStation. But either way, you will be getting games from all the different parties, all these different developers at some point in time. It's just a matter of preference at the end of the day. And honestly, I think that's a future that we can all like really see the good and the benefits of. I don't see why anyone would think that that is a bad thing. But you know, that's just my opinion. A lot of what I'm thinking with this news right now is nothing new for me. I had these exact same thoughts last year. So it's just a matter of like seeing this come up now. I'm just like, I told you so. I told you it was gonna happen. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I told you it was gonna happen. So seeing people get worked up about it, I'm like, guys, let's calm down. It's okay. It's going to be all right. There will be an adjustment period for MIDI. I completely understand that. But we don't need to worry. We don't need to stress or get angry or grab pitchforks. We just need to reckon with the fact that the industry is changing. The industry is changing very fast, and this is not the era of PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii console wars. This is not the era of Crash Bandicoot with the megaphone outside the Nintendo building screaming at them and yelling at them for a console war and everything. This is not the age of Sega does what Nintendo don't. This is not that era. We are long past those eras of console wars or console fighting and stuff. We're now in an era of we just you know, the different platform holders wanting the industry and wanting their businesses and brands to thrive in the best way possible. And the best way for that to happen is for these games to be on as many places and as many devices as they possibly can be. So that's what I think. Let me know what your thoughts are on this PlayStation multi-platform direction that they're going in down in the comment section below. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you not? Again, I highly encourage you to go check out my video from last year talking about this. Me, I guess you could say, quote unquote, prophesizing all this happening, because it is a bit more focused on that discussion than this video, which was a bit more, you know, free willy, just going all, you know, just a bit more scatterbrained. But nevertheless, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn those notification bells on, that way you know as soon as notifications go live. And if you have not already, go ahead and check out my Claire Obscure Expedition 33 review that just went live earlier this week. I think it's a good review. I hope you enjoy it too. I did enjoy the game, so give that review a watch. My name is Tyler. This has been The Comfy Spot, and we'll talk next time. Have a good one.